Morning guys, been a while since we've done the daily drive. We are just up near Finchley. We've got a crossroad coming up now. We're going to go straight ahead. It was basically what I wanted to do is there was a couple of students who were inquiring about, or not inquiring about, sorry, they were talking about their test and they were stressing out and worrying about it, etc., which is quite normal. One or two of them were saying, which I mentioned before in a few videos, that when I come to the test, I'm going to switch up, I'm going to do a lot better, I'll be locked in, and I'll be fine. Whereas in the lessons, what they're doing, they're chilling, their hands are quite relaxed on the wheel, one hand here, maybe fidgeting a lot, which can be just a normal habit anyway, of fidgeting, but they're quite chilled, they're not looking in the mirrors enough, and they're thinking they're going to turn it all on the day of the test. And there are some students who can do that. I've had students who, for the life of me, have struggled to get them to check mirrors, etc., and then on the day of the test they've had no errors on it. But the majority of students will not be able to change a bad habit. So my point here is, your lessons and everything that you do, practice the good habits, practice good driving. You're here for a little bit of time, you're not hopefully here for that longer period, so you can focus on just doing everything by the book for the moment. Yes, learn all the skills. I'll often try and teach a lot of students to drive one-handed, so that you have full control on the car. You should be able to drive with your left hand, and then sometimes you need to be able to drive with your right hand as well. So hopefully you can see my hands at the moment. But those sort of things are very important, because even when they ask you to do the sort of show me tell me questions, they'll ask you put the window down, so your hands off the steering wheel. You should be fully in control of the steering wheel at all times. We've got zebra crossing coming up. I'm going to put my window down. I don't need to do it straight away. I'll have a look ahead, make sure the zebra and the immediate hazards are clear at the beginning, and then you go and you do your question, you push it down and you lift it back up. Easy, very simple. If they ask you to demist the rear windscreen, so in my car it's going to be this button here, but my hand needs to be off, this hand needs to be off, and this hand needs to control the car. So look, there's a bend, so I need to be able to do it with one hand very, very easily. Hazards ahead, I'm pressing the button, easy, job done. If I need to wash the front windscreen, I don't actually need both hands off the wheel for that, because my lever is here just behind the steering wheel, so all I will do is pull towards me and it washes it. And then in this car again, I will twist it down to wash the rear windscreen. You can't see it actually. If I turn around, you might be able to see that it just got washed, but apart from that, because I've got the digital mirror, and so those are the simple questions. I've got another one in my car where you can turn the headlight on. So when you're driving, you just twist it down, one towards you and then one back. That turns it off. But again, if I'm doing it while driving, my hand is off the steering wheel, so I need to have that control on my steering wheel with one hand. So don't be afraid of learning that. It's very important that you learn to control your car, both hands, one hand, etc. All of it is important. We've got a bit of traffic here, but yeah, ooh, interesting. We could do a little cheat here and go the other way, but I'm wondering why there's traffic there, so we should take a different route and turn right. So let's see. And she's blocked my exit, which is great and lovely. Anyway, that's what happens. This is one of the reasons, I think someone mentioned before, it doesn't make a difference if you block a side road, but they've blocked my road, they've blocked my flow, they've stopped me from going, and if they're stuck there for 10 minutes, I'm stuck here for 10 minutes when there's no need to be. She could have just easily left that gap. Now I can't see past her, so I'm going to edge out, be very cautious, the car's far, and then I'm going to turn. Okay, so keep that in mind, very important. Try not to block side roads. You can keep the flow going, it does help a lot. And so if people do block it like that, there wasn't a keep clear sign on the ground, if you noticed, for her, but she should still try and keep it clear. These are good etiquettes of driving, really, really important. So that's that. So yeah, so going back to what I was saying, make sure you are practicing everything that you need to do in your lessons, and then go from there. But hopefully that's important. Hopefully it helps, because a lot of students, they have that mindset, you know, we'll just do it on the day of the test and, you know, that's it. It doesn't really work often. And the other thing I was going to say is, when you are in the test, and I've mentioned this before in one of the videos, you need to work in your lessons to kind of stop thinking about passing and failing. The passing will come when you drive well. So, you know, passing and failing should not be on your, you know, your to-do list, yeah, if that makes sense. It sounds silly and it sounds like a bit naive, but, you know, if you drive well, you will pass. So, you know, driving well, the outcome is a pass. You know, so what you've got to do is not think, oh, is this a pass, is this a fail? You generally should know all the rules by the time you go into your test. You know, if you've taken, you know, a good amount of lessons and you've done well in your lessons, you know, there'll be a few faults here and there. You know, none of us are perfect, including myself, you know. And you know, you're coming up to test day, and the build up of the pressure can be, you know, overwhelming. So, you know, just drive decently. You know, see this car slowing down early, so I've slowed down early. I'm not trying to go, oh, why are they going really slow, and go up to them and pressure them. No, just back off, see what happens. They decided to turn in, they were looking for a turning probably. Hazards ahead, nice wide berth, car's far ahead so I can overtake. So yeah, just, you know, don't pressurize a car. Sometimes people are trying to find parking spaces, etc., or they're trying to take a turn in and they don't know where they're going. So, you know, all these things have an effect on the driver in front. And, you know, if you can stress about it, you can go up to them and, you know, and get annoyed about it, etc. But you know, in the end of the day, what you've got to try and do is just back off and then see how it unfolds, you know. But yeah, so just make sure whenever you are going up for the test, you're starting to think of, right, let me just drive really well, do as well as I can in my lessons, and then end of the day, you've put the effort in. Leave the rest, you know, to whatever's going to happen. You know, if you are a person of God, then, you know, leave it to the one above, and if not, then, you know, do whatever makes you happy. But yeah, just you know, the main thing, you've just got to make sure, if you allow the nerves to beat you, yeah, it's really, really challenging. You know, I had a couple of students last week, and they were coming up for the lessons, and they were so overwhelmed with the driving test. You could see it in the lessons leading up to it. And I was telling the husband, I was like, you know what, she can drive, she drives so well, but the nerves are making her make silly errors. And in the end, it was more trying to kind of speak to them about how to control the nerves. You know, some people take medication, some don't need it, some just have to understand that, you know, end of the day, there's no pressure. You know, most of the time there isn't any pressure. You're not you know, subjected to the pass or fail according to a job or, you know, any other thing that you need it, etc. So, you know, there's no need to put that pressure on yourself then. So what you've got to just make sure is, and yeah, going back to that student, so what happened is we had a nice early morning test, 7 o'clock, which really was helpful to her, because you know, there was less traffic on the roads, a lot easier to manage. And I think you have to go into this road here. I always forget the road I'm meant to go into. Anyway, yeah, so they had to you know, they had less traffic, less cars to deal with, but you know, overall they coped with it. They managed to get through it. Same with the student I had the other day on Monday, super nervous, but the standard of the driving was so good, and it was quite impressive. And in the end of the day, they aced through it. Both of them passed those driving tests with just a couple of minors. It was very impressive. And you know, you guys can do it. You just need to focus on driving well, not pass or fail. Okay, early on in your lessons, you need to know what's good, what's bad, what's, you know, allowed, what's not allowed. I understand that. You know, everyone wants to know, is this allowed, is this a pass, is this a fail? Fine, but that shouldn't then be continued, because if you continue that, you'll overthink the test and you won't perform to your ability. And, you know, be more than 100% ready. Be like 120%. Take extra lessons if you need to, so that you never have to come back again. That's the key, you know. One of my students was like, would you suggest, you know, should I take extra lessons or not? And I said, look, I'm not the one paying for it, okay? So you know, giving advice, it's all subjected to whether you can afford it, etc. If you can afford it, take it, because you know, it will save you hopefully having to come back again. And if you can't afford it, no problem, we do what we can with what we've got, you know. And that's what you've got to think about. So hopefully those a few little things that you guys can take away. I've waffled on a lot, yeah, just wanted to kind of mention that today. But hopefully you guys will take note of it and will ace your driving test. So hopefully I'll see you guys on the next daily drive. It's been a while, so I don't know when I'll do the next one, but all the best. Bye.